They thought they buried you, deep, in silence, in shame, in shadows. They thought if they mocked you long enough, you'd break. If they isolated you long enough, you'd vanish. But they never realized. Some souls don't vanish, they evolve in the dark. You didn't fade, you forged. Brick by brick, scar by scar, in the furnace of every lie they threw at you. You became the echo they hear in empty rooms. The fear that creeps in when the crowd's gone, when the mask slips, when they're left alone with the memory of what they tried to destroy. You became the consequence they thought would never come. The one who rose, not soft or polished, but brutal, sharpened, and merciless. You're the one who turned pain into power, betrayal into blueprint, and silence into a storm. You don't walk in rooms the same anymore. You shift the air. People feel your presence like a pressure drop before the thunder. They can't look you in the eye because they remember who you used to be and they see what you've become. You don't need revenge. Your existence is the punishment. Your growth is the glare they can't unsee. You became the nightmare they never forget, not because you wanted vengeance, but because you became undeniable. You made survival look like domination. You made rising look like wrath. And now, when they close their eyes at night, they don't see peace. They see you, the storm they tried to outrun. They whispered your name like it was a ghost story, like saying it too loud might summon the monster they created. But you're no ghost. You're the living, breathing consequence of every backstab, every fake smile, every door slammed in your face. You didn't just survive the fire, they lit it, and you walked out with the flames behind you, not on you. You didn't burn, they did. You became the thing that doesn't knock. You kick the door off the hinges. You don't beg to be seen, you demand attention just by showing up. The same ones who laughed at your struggle now flinch at your name. Ones who counted you out now study your every move, hoping you don't turn your eyes their way. You became the standard they can't reach, the proof that their limits were never yours. And it wasn't luck. It was grit. It was every night you dragged your soul through the mud and still got up swinging. It was every "you'll never make it" that became a stepping stone. It was every scar that didn't close pretty, but it closed strong. You weren't built in the light. You were built in the collapse. And that's why they can't break you. Because you already were broken and you built yourself back without mercy. You're not a chapter in their story. You're the whole damn plot twist, the one they didn't see coming, the one they still don't understand. You became the nightmare they never forget, because you turned your downfall into a rise so loud even their silence trembles. And now, you don't chase validation. You walk in truth. You don't flex. You exist. And that alone is terrifying. They thought the silence meant you were done, that you were licking wounds, nursing defeat, disappearing like all the others they crushed before you. But you weren't hiding, you were loading. You were gathering every ounce of pain, every lie, every betrayal, and turning it into fuel. While they were dancing in your downfall, you were building the version of yourself that doesn't need to announce power because it's felt. And now that you've stepped into it, they don't know how to face you. Not because you're loud, but because you're unshakable. Because the calm in your eyes says, "I've been through worse," and smiled. You became the one they study in silence, the one they don't speak on, because speaking your name is like triggering a memory they spent years trying to erase. But some truths don't vanish. Some awaken every time the lights go out. You're not the villain. You're not the hero. You're the reckoning. The balance. The answer to every moment they thought they got away with it. You didn't rise clean, you rose real. And that's what haunts them. That you didn't come back polished and polite. You came back with armor in your soul and a grin that says, "Try me now." They wanted you broken, obedient, quiet. But instead, you became the reminder that people like you don't fold. You became the warning they give in hushed tones. You became the nightmare they never forget. Because you're living proof that even the most shattered spirit can become a force no one dares challenge again. And you're not done. You're just getting warmed up. See, the real terror ain't in what you did, it's in what you could do if you stopped holding back. That's the part that keeps him up at night. That uneasy feeling when your name slips into conversation and the whole room tightens. Because they know you're not the same one they tried to bury. You dug yourself out, and you remembered every single hand that threw dirt on you. Now you move different. Not loud, not desperate, dangerous. Controlled, calculated. Like someone who learned that monsters don't hide under beds, they're built under pressure. And you were pressure's favorite project. They didn't just create a nightmare, they created the kind of legend whispered in corners. Not for glory, for warning. You don't want applause. You don't need forgiveness. What you became is beyond redemption. Because you didn't just survive the story. You rewrote it. You changed the ending. You flipped the script so hard, the ones who once laughed at your struggle now mimic your grind badly. You became the blueprint they'll never understand, because what made you can't be taught. Now, you're a presence, a pulse. The reason some of them can't enjoy their wins because deep down they know their clock's ticking. You became the nightmare they never forget, not because you screamed, but because you outlived them in silence and rose with eyes that say you should have finished the job. But they couldn't. And now they never will. Because here's the twist, they thought the worst thing you could become was angry. But anger fades. You became something far more dangerous. You became focused. You don't lash out. You calculate. You don't react. You study. You don't throw punches, you throw outcomes. And when you move, it's not just for you, it's for every version of yourself they tried to kill along the way. You became the nightmare they never forget because you stopped needing to prove anything. You are the proof that the storm can survive the flood. But silence doesn't mean surrender, it means strategy. And now, every step you take is a reminder. Not just that you made it, but that you could have destroyed everything and chose not to yet. You haunt them not with chaos, but with control. That's what really breaks them. That you smile now. That you speak without rage, without desperation. You walk into rooms like the ghost of every mistake they made, and the punishment is your peace. Not because you forgot, but because you outgrew the battlefield. You became too big for their weapons, too sharp for their traps, too unshakable for their fear games. And still they wait for the moment you turn your head. Because they know if you ever decide to stop forgiving, stop being merciful, stop playing chess and start flipping the whole damn board, it's over. You became the nightmare they never forget. because you're the ending they never prepared for, and the beginning of everything they can't control. Like, comment, and subscribe.